Hey, what's going on, guys? Let's get a look at the Spyderco D2 CPM D2 paramilitary. You can see this one is a user, much like all my knives. And this is one of my favorites for a lot of different reasons. I love a military. I love their thin, full flat blades, and this belly is just enough to be good with food tasks. And I don't know if you guys have seen my other videos where I talk about how good that the lum is in the blade actual edge shape. If you see, the military is very much like that, where they just have a little bit of belly. And I like that because you can get on your cutting board, and I know I talk about food prep a lot, but that's what I use my knives for a lot. If it wasn't for that, I've got to be honest, that's probably half my knife use is for food prep. So it lets you get down on the cutting board and get a lot of surface down and onto the cutting board, whereas something with a lot of belly like this, look, you're only, if your cutting board was flat, you're only getting a tiny little point down unless you hold the knife at a ridiculous angle like that. Whereas this, probably shouldn't cut into titanium, with this puts a lot of surface, a lot of edge length onto the board, if that makes sense. So that's one thing I really like about Spyderco's, is a lot of their blades have this almost modified Wharncliffe, which also leaves a whole lot of tip control when you're cutting. You see how when you're up and you don't have to be at a ridiculous angle, like a Sebenza, if you want to just use that very tip, you have to be up like this and cutting down. Whereas something like the paramilitary, you don't. It just, it's a very minor thing, but it makes a big difference in using. Of course, I have medium-sized hands. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I find grip is pretty comfortable. It's a little cramped, not in the choil, but it's not terrible. It seems like they could have made this back bump come out just a little bit more, and your hand wouldn't be cramped as much. But I guess we'll probably see something like that on the next update. There's supposed to be a new pair coming out. But a smaller knife like this, I would guess most people are in the choil. And in the choil is where this knife really shines. And you can see how close your finger is to that cutting edge. That gives a whole lot of control. And the rest of the handle kind of falls. And Spyderco gets this right a lot for using knives. It doesn't look that great when you have a tiny, this is still not a tiny blade, but when you have, a lot of people say that the proportions are so off, the ratio of blade to handle. But Spyderco's, if you remember, they are made and designed in the dark with that, not literally, but what that means, they care about form and function. Of function being, at the top of their list. They want you to use their knives. They're not lookers. After you know and you use Spyderco's and you understand them, they start looking good. It's kind of strange, but they do. And they just put a lot of really nice handles on the market. And then they pair them up with perfect blade shapes and grinds, and it's just hard to go wrong. You can see how much this tapers, much like a military's tip, which this knife is for cutting and slicing. It is not for prying or battening through wood or anything. So enough about that. This is the D2 version with the foliage green handles. I guess that's how you say it. I like it. The D2 doesn't take, for me, as well of a polish as others like VG10 and BG42, but I found if you finish it on a Spyderco fine ceramic, that's about the perfect grit, and that's about as high as a polish you want to go, which that's fine for most everyday tasks. You don't need a 7,000, 8,000 polish on your edge. I like it because I just like stupid sharp knives, but it's not needed. It does hold that fine, a Spyderco fine finish for a long time. I'm really happy with the edge retention. This knife also, and Spyderco gets this right a lot too. I'm gonna pull my lum out. I just love this lum. But you can see how this lum has a very rainbow type shape to it, and you can really see it when it's upside down. Which puts, and if you see my other video, it puts the blade at a negative angle. The paramilitary is much the same. See how it comes and it kind of slopes down. So when you hold on to the handle, this blade is already ready to come down. Your hand is straight and the blade's already dropped. And that's the difference between ergonomics of Spyderco and of like a Sebenza. Some people describe these as steel Twinkies, and I'm not knocking Sebenzas, I love them. But you know you're holding a knife when you hold a Sebenza, in my opinion. It doesn't feel like an extension of your hand. Whereas this does. This feels like it was made with your hand and the way your hand will grip a knife in mind. And it was. I mean, that's just Spyderco. The clip is a little ugly. I expect we'll see a new update on that also. And of course you have your compression lock, which I'm sure you've seen in other reviews. The one negative I'm going to have to say on this knife is this corner of the tang, which I found a way for me to get around that. I carry in my back right pocket. So this actual corner in the whole side of the knife, think about it, back right pocket. Say you're walking behind me, it's clipped like this. Here's my left pocket and my right pocket, and it's clipped. I can reach into my back pocket and not get caught on this corner. But now let's rotate it around. You carry it around in your front right pocket. Okay? Look, every time you go to reach into your pocket, you could get scratched on this. It's just not, just the way it sticks out. That's just the one negative on the Para. And if you carry things in your right front pocket and you carry this, it's going to annoy you. If you carry back right pocket like I do in your back pocket, that puts this up against the seam and you're not going to have any issues. In front right pocket, you know. So anyways, enough about that. They do use the oversized hole, and you can see how I'm closing that. I'm just kind of pinching it and flicking it down. Compression lock is just great. You can do that. It's hard to do on camera, but you can pinch this and throw the blade down and up like an axis. Anyways, let's get this onto the, see how long it is? We're at about 7 3/84, maybe 1/16 more. And we have a cutting edge of, it seems to be about the magic number